What's up guys, welcome back for the YgoPro duel video. Next up in line is a new Psy-frame Link monster, also from the Link Vrains Pack 2. It was revealed earlier today, and I think this is one of the underdogs. It's definitely a very solid card, a good card, yep, because it's generic. You can easily make it with any two monsters, bar tokens, but you know, you can play around that with something like Link Spider or Link or Rebo, right? So that's not really that big of a problem, but basically it can be made with any two monsters, and it has two important effects. The first important effect is that as soon as you banish like a psychic monster on your side of the field, face up, will banish it, right? Like Omega, for example, or the Mekk-Knights, let's say the purple Mekk-Knight, for example, it will trigger its search effect, as in searching during the end phase, basically a Sangan, so Sangan search any of your Psy-frame cards. Very solid, although it searches during the end phase. The second effect is the most important effect, is that as soon as you have your Psy-frame Lambda, your Psy-frame Link monster on the field, on your side of the field, you can activate your Psy-frame monsters in your hand even though you're controlling monsters. And that's quite good. Especially because your Lambda, your Link monster, is generic. And I'm looking at other decks like Pendulums or whatever, right? Or yeah, you can basically sum up any deck that can make this card. You have to worry about the fact that, let's say, if your opponent does have the Lambda, the Psyframe Link monster on his side of the field, with like a boss monster next to it, you have to watch out if you know that your opponent is playing Psyframes as well. Let's say Gamma, or maybe the other Psyframes that negate traps or maybe spells. Your opponent is able to activate the Psyframes from his hand, even though he's controlling monsters. So fantastic support going first here, and that's why or at least next to the pure Psy-frame deck, you know, it's a very reactive deck. Just sit there, very old school with Pot of Duality, Card D, you know, the good old school Psy-frame deck, very slow deck by the way, is that with this new Link monster you can put some speed into the deck. And I was looking for very strong engines, very powerful engines, and preferably one card engines. And I was looking at Sky Striker, yeah, to some extent, well, mainly one token generated. The deck does run triple engage and one yeah, it's engage, right? And triple, yeah, drones, indeed, triple engage and one drones, since drones is so important. Drones easily makes your Lambda, your Link monster, and of course opens up those extra monster zones. And that's where, because I was searching for like a one card engine next to the Sky Strikers, I came along, or at least I found, well, Invoked. That doesn't, I don't need to explain that, right? With Alistair being that one card engine and can pump out those very powerful monsters, and also builds around the field spell engine, so that makes Metaverse much more live, right? Metaverse, very important to get the Psyframe field spell up and running, especially during your opponent's turn as well. So again, very, very solid. And last but not least, I mean, the fact that because your Link monster, your Psyframe Link monster, can be made with basically any two monsters, and the fact that it triggers as soon as a Psychic monster, a face-up Psychic monster on your side of the field gets banished. I'm looking at Mekk-Knights, and mainly like purple Mekk-Knight. Let's say if you have your Lambda, your Link monster on the field, you special summon your purple Mekk-Knight, banish it to get a search, and then during the end phase you can special, or at least search with Lambda as well. Again, that's very, very strong, right? The ratio still need to be tested out, especially for the extra deck. I'm definitely going to make some changes, like drop a Savage Dragon, for example, maybe the FA as well, to get more space in the extra deck for other links, for example, or basically other monsters. Again, as I mentioned before, the Sky Striker engine is very important. You could, let's say, if you don't have Alistair, your engage equals drones equals basically an easy link to, yeah, Link summon, right? But the small downside is that your Sky Striker engine does take up a lot of extra deck space, so especially 3 spaces, and you need those 3 spaces for your engine, basically, right? The point of the deck, just make sure you can get up your Link monster, so you can use your Psy-frames from your hand, and then, you know, it's basically playing good old Psy-frames, good old school Psy-frames, but with the advantage of actually keeping your boss monsters on the field. Let's say the Savage Dragon or because of invoked Makaba as well. And as you know, thanks to Omega and Zeta, I believe the name is the level 7 one, you can trigger both, at least you can trigger your Psy-frame link monster during both your turn and during your opponent's turn, right? Anyway, another example against ABCs, the opponent starting Alpha, I guess, going to drop the level 1, I believe it's Alpha searching out the field spell, but yeah, Metaverse, another field spell search, but I think that's very important. I mean, going at least first tool, the first game, you should be in a very decent position, but as soon as your opponent knows that you're playing Psy-Frames, you can they can definitely play around that, like not normal summoning, just setting their monsters. For example, well, you know how to play around the whole Psy-Frame deck, but then again, that only works if you're playing like the good old school Psy-Frames. Very slow, card Pot of Duality, you know, from a couple of years ago, the very slow deck. Well, that's the advantage now. You are running like a sub-engine or a couple of sub-engines like Mekk-Knight's Psychics as well, Invoked also, so your opponent can't really like set or do nothing, right? So that's definitely something I like. Going first this time again, getting out Makaba and of course the Lambda, the Link monster as well, having a spell in hand to negate with Makaba, and immediately, of course, go to use Metaverse to make, what is it? Is it Beta? No, the Delta indeed. They have Delta negating the spells. Immediately putting Omega on the field, Omega rips one card from your opponent's hand, but basically triggers your Link monster's search during the end phase, right? Makaba was needed to prevent the destruction, right? Why not activate it? But I do sacrifice the Alistair in hand, so a potential fusion summon during my next turn. There is a 6 Samurai Link monster, but here in this situation, not really that threatening, especially because he didn't have, or at least he was forced to use his face-up 6 Samurai spell already, right? And here, draw Driver. I mean, from all the cards you can draw, you, of course, always, like it's insane, like it's just like Garnet, right? You're always drawing those cards, either opening with them or like drawing them, even though there's like one already in the graveyard. That's how it goes, right? So Omega returns, and now I can just attack for a game again. I think last example, the longer game. Yep, going first indeed, so engage, yeah, some standard opening plays, but the small downside is that I don't want to sacrifice one of the Psy-Frames here in my hand, so I go for, at least I use a fusion summon to go for the Fire Invoked Purgatory, I believe the name is. Not really sure. Oh yeah, you're somewhat sacrificing the Makaba. Like opening with some Mekk-Knights would have been solid, right? Those would be like easy or instant scapegoats for your Makaba fusion summon. But here I run into a huge torrential tribute. I hope I can like somewhat recover of immediately getting the Link out as well. But yeah, with Omega basically blocking the Sky Striker engine. But then again, yeah, there is no, what is it called? Is it Kagari, the fire one? There was only one in the extra deck. But yeah, just dealing some damage, right? Call by the Grave decided to banish, or used to banish the Omega here. And I'm not that, at least my position is kind of terrible. And it's quite insane that even though he used double Desires, he can still go for ABC Dragon Buster. He still had one of the ABC monsters back in his deck, so, or still left in his deck, so yeah, whatever, right? Must be nice. Trying into Metaverse. Metaverse is fine. It's going to get banished by the ABC Dragon Buster, so it's not looking that good. But still, I have my field spell. And of course, having the level 1, that's going to be dropped, and dropping Zeta as well. And Zeta can pretty much stall it out later. This is, I think, is going for Boral Sword. Yep, I'm definitely going to banish that with Zeta. It does banish the face-up spell. I guess that's fine, but I'm not sure. Did he know that I have, what is it called? You know, the guy that if your opponent attacks, if your opponent attacks, just drop it. The attacking monster is destroyed, right? So I'm not really sure about the correct name, but I think he knew it, right? So just played a little bit passive against Psy-Frames, especially here in this situation. And again, just one normal summon of Alistair could change the game here. So getting blue on the field, you know, the guy that switches monster zones, Metaverse, immediately used to search out Invocation. Invocation equals Alistair, and Alistair, together with some Mekk-Knights, go into your Link monster, and this is again eventually a game. So I definitely like this hybrid, especially because the Mekk-Knights are an extra psychic engine to trigger your Link monster, and potentially can be used to Link summon your new Psy-frame Link monster. The Alistair invoked engine I definitely like, with, you know, the lights of your of your Psy-Frames as well, and also is a small one card engine, right? Somewhat relying on a field spell as well, so making your metaverse live also next to the Gamma or the Psyframe field spell. So the extra deck needs some work, dropping a couple of synchros, adding in a couple of links, but I'm definitely liking this. So again, like always, feel free to leave your suggestions. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching and feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. YgoPro out. Peace.